This is For the Creators. Welcome back to For the Creators, where it's our job to demystify creativity. In these long-form conversations, we tease out tips and tricks from all kinds of creatives, whether they're musicians, radio presenters, actors, painters, directors, DJs, entrepreneurs, and all the above. Today we sit down with Angelina Dove. Angelina is a singer, poet, designer, painter, writer. She creates a lot. We explore how having a restricted childhood can shape your imagination and make you more creative, and how rejections can make you stronger. For anyone who's had or is having a tough time creating under some sort of restriction, this one's for you. So without further ado, please enjoy my sit down with Angelina Dove.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks
Angelina
for having
Dove.
me.
How are you?
Very well.
Good.
Well, thanks.
Good. I when I was doing some research for the show, I stumbled upon your LinkedIn profile.
Oh, have I got a LinkedIn?
Yeah, well,
I do.
I don't know if it's yours, but
Is it mine?
it says Angelina Dove, daughter of a billionaire cosmetics tycoon, Hilton Antonius van der Berg Dove.
No, it's not me.
That weren't you?
I'm not just going undercover.
All right, cool.
No, I'm roughing it because I'm roughing it.
Yeah.
So, what would I want with any of the millions?
Yeah, knowing you, I think that was something that you would write because you're quite funny. That's hilarious.
Once,
well,
however,
someone's masquerading as you then.
I think it was a running joke that happened at somewhere I worked because it actually comes from a true story. Well, not a true story, vaguely. A very made up set of facts that aren't true. But I was doing some vocal sessions a few years and years ago, and for some reason I got a whole load of sessions with people really easily, with people that were quite established, and sort of felt that I wasn't quite sure why I was being taken so seriously, but didn't really question it. Just thought, yeah, living the dream. Yeah. And then it was a few months after I'd done some of the sessions that that somebody I worked with said, "Oh, that you do know why he's putting so much effort in, don't you?" And I was like, "Oh no, he thinks you're a soap tycoon's daughter because you told him that you were the daughter of the heiress of the Dove soap empire." And so I was really upset actually because I thought, well,
yeah, because it's off your own
wow,
merit and
giving me loads of I didn't say anything. I just so that is mentioning no names.
Wait, so who? Oh, okay, yeah. No mentioning no names. Okay, so someone was spreading those.
Well, yeah, but it was the untrue facts.
Facts, yeah.
But I didn't even know I had a LinkedIn, so that's. I thought I had one where I was just an illustrator.
You probably do, but when on Google, when you Google it kind of aggregates all of the profiles, and I think it's aggregated your picture alongside that bio.
Incidentally, Hilton is my dad's name, but
yeah,
but not the rest.
So
no, just Hilton
facts.
Dove. Yeah, untrue facts. Yeah,
That's
freestanding
crazy.
untrue facts.
That's mad. Yeah. Can you say who the artists you were working with?
No, okay, I don't want to in case it decredits. So all of I've already lost my cred, haven't I? I'm no one.
No, you're somebody. You're one of the
I could be somebody.
People I know who are in Angelina's studio at the moment, and it's pretty much like to the right of me I've got a studio, in front of me I've got all the different decorations and trinkets that Angelina's working on, and it's just
festooned the place with stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible. And like Angelina's working on, what did you call them again? I call those the Snapchat filter head crowns.
Yeah, flower crowns or
flower crowns.
Headdresses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're headdresses. Yeah.
Headdresses, yeah.
Real life Snapchat, I like that.
Yeah. Real life Snapchat filters. So
that's the one.
Girls, if you want some, the flower crowns, but in real life, you can definitely get them from Angelina.
Come to me.
Come to Angelina. I met you firstly in the studio, so that was more of a singer,
Yeah,
songwriter.
singing. I think I would describe myself as a poet more than a singer, because that's always been the point of inspiration, has always started with a story. So it always feels like, for me, I'm just expressing or telling a story. So singing is something that just sort of was the vehicle to explain that somehow. So it wasn't like, oh, I want to be a singer, so much as I just need to explain this, and it's got melody as well. So
that was the vehicle
yeah,
to do that.
to tell the story.
And because you got many vehicles, like more so than most people that I know.
Fleet.
Yeah, you got exactly. You got a fleet of creativity. So, like with singing or with poetry or even with art, how did that manifest? Like when you were a child, when did you notice that they were the vehicles you could choose to get that creative message out?
I think that it's something that creating stuff is more about, for me, not just finding a purpose or passing time exactly, but because I didn't know I had a message or anything when I was little. I didn't know that I had anything to say. In fact, I thought I wanted to say things, but I didn't have anything relevant really, because I hadn't been around very long. But I always found that I just making things or drawing things or just sort of, just making a hut out of sticks or something would be, it wasn't just a hut out of sticks, it would be this great big castle with towers and turrets and stuff. And and so it was a sort of way of creating a make-believe world that was better than the one that I was in or am in. So it was a sort of way of just actively building your way out of a circumstance or predicament or something. So yeah, there's always a way to sort of make something come alive through that.
Yeah.
Or I hope there is anyway.
No, definitely. And was it a case of you just tried loads of different things, like singing, and then?
I think that I had a lot of ideas to do things, and had limited stimuli. Is that the thing? As a child, I didn't really have any toys. I didn't have. I had a bit of an unconventional childhood, so I didn't have the distractions that a lot of children from my generation might have had. So but I had an imagination, and therefore anything that I thought of, I just set about trying to make it, or just trying to make something exciting. I don't know, but
that's incredible.
I didn't sort of find I didn't sort of think, oh, what can I do? It was more of, how do I do that? Because there was never anyone around, never sort of even like later adult life and stuff, like there isn't. If you want something to do something, the best way is to do it yourself. Like learn, if you can. A lot of things you can do yourself. Like I remember the first time I changed a plug, or like the fuse in a plug, and thought it was a miracle. Like, whoa, electrical mystery is solved, and just because I was like, well, something's broken, so it surely can be fixed.
Yeah.
But,
are you like naturally curious?
I think so. Yeah. I think I'm naturally curious, but I'm not naturally very adventurous, maybe. I don't think I'm an adventurer. I don't know. I don't see myself as, like, I don't go and seek risk, like jumping out of planes and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to live.
Yeah. Please, we love life.
Yeah. So there's always things that we can do, not just me, but people. I think we are amazing as in human beings. The ability to learn, see something being done, recreate it, and just we are people are incredible,
Yeah.
and there's so much that can be done, and I think people set limitations on themselves, or because they think, oh well, that's, for instance, a locksmith. I know that I'm not a locksmith or anything, but I've changed locks and stuff in the past, not because I've thought I'm clever or anything, but just because I needed to change the locks and couldn't afford a locksmith. So I just took the door apart and just took the broken lock to the shop, like B&Q, and it's like tenner, and then you just figure it out. Sometimes I had to file a bit off.
Well, that's really interesting too, because it's like you there was something that needed to be done, and you kind of worked it out, you know, and it kind of makes sense because you're a multi-hyphenate in terms of, in the creative sense, like you have many vehicles for your creativity. I guess you would apply that same mindset. You have an idea that needs to come out of your head, and what's the best way to do that? And it's kind of like you look at a piece of wood or something like that, or you look at a blank canvas, or you look at a keyboard, and you work it out.
Yeah, something.
That's incredible.
Comes out. I never liked particularly in any. That's helicopters. I can. Like,
East London.
Yeah, we're in the Badlands. I once saw an amazing heist going on. I just kept quiet. Yeah, I did.
Wow.
It was, well, I don't know if it was that amazing because I don't know if they actually got anything out, but I thought I heard like gunshots, but it wasn't gunshots, and I looked out the window and there was these guys dragging the whole cash machine.
No way.
Like the whole thing, and it wasn't gunshots. They had a pickaxe and they were trying to open it.
Oh shoot.
By smacking it with a pickaxe.
Wow, that's subtle.
I know, it's getting light as well, but yeah.
Was it like early hours of the morning, like
This
4
was
o'clock in
like
the morning?
2002. Yeah, it was about that, yeah. But I just thought they were so strong to have got that whole thing, the whole cash point out of the wall with wires.
With the wall, it would have been with the wall.
Yeah, it had bits of wall, yeah. Dragging it across the pond.
That's insane.
They didn't
Who sits down and plans that out?
I know.
Like, we're going to get there at 4 a.m. in the morning and no one's going to hear us, trust me.
Yeah, no one's going to, and we're going to get in. No. Well, I don't think they'd thought it through, but they abandoned it in the end, so they didn't get in. But
what a waste of effort.
Yeah, no.
Can you imagine? They probably planned that for months.
They probably did. I, on the other hand, was just about to say that I've never liked planning.
Oh, there you go.
I've never particularly liked... I plan things, but I never liked that stage of work out what you're going to do in writing before you go ahead and... I prefer to visually like put notes down and stuff. But I think...
How does that manifest itself? Is it like a vision board or...?
Yeah, a vision board and like mood boards and stuff, and things like that, textures and stuff, whatever it's going to be, or even just writing words down and stuff for songs and things, titles. I love the fact that I've got a smartphone now because notes is like the best thing ever.
Seriously? Notes
and audio notes is the best, and sometimes I might just think of, or just get one line of like a title or something that's inspiring, and then I'll just write it down. I'll go rushing anywhere, and then I'll come back to it sometimes, and and a whole piece of music might come from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I can just harvest them and use them. But without that, I used to have a dictaphone and I used to have a notepad, but I've actually forgotten how to write. My hand doesn't actually write my hand properly anymore because that's amazing. We're evolving to not have the ability. I mean, I wrote a handwritten letter the other day, and
they're rare.
Yeah, it was strange looking at it because I was like, and it hurt my hand.
Yeah, it's an effort, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even when I'm writing birthday cards or anything like that, my handwriting will start off like really nice.
Yeah.
Italics, blah blah blah. but towards the end,
escalates.
you know what it is? I think my brain started to move faster than my hand.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm already like 2 words in front of what my hand's writing.
And the auto predict would have done it for you. But
Exactly.
right, yeah, we're limited, but I guess AI and integrating, I don't know, assisted technology to human beings might be the future. I don't know.
You mentioned that your childhood was unconventional.
Yeah, I think so.
What makes it that unconventional?
I was mostly homeschooled, mainly by my mum, and we lived quite far from anywhere, from sort of anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, I was born in London, but my parents in the 80s decided that they wanted to live the dream, so to speak, and sort of go off grid and do their rural living thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was avoiding saying rural because I can't say R's properly. It's like, what's another word for it? I was scanning for one, but I couldn't do one. Anyway, the agricultural, no, I don't know, but anyway, they just wanted to live simple life, maybe. And it was mostly to do with my mum and dad were in this church, and it was quite strict, so they had advised the families to, I think, to just that would be a good idea to not live in the city and stuff, and sort of be self-sufficient elsewhere and in a sort of safe environment, I guess. And yeah, so we were quite isolated. I've got 2 sisters, but I think I did have a tendency to not particularly want to concentrate on anything from an academic point of view from very young. So my sister liked books. That was another thing. So we had books in the house, but only biblical Bible books, factual books, some plant books about plants, and National Geographics, a whole set of them.
So very academic.
Very, just non-fiction. So nothing that would be.
No imagination.
Yeah, and that's a sort of limitation in its own.
Yeah.
So the non-fiction or the fiction ban, really, that's sort of anything that was fairy tale. The word fairy tale would be like contraband. It was not something that would be allowed in our household. So, and yeah, I think that I can't remember where I was headed. I headed off.
We were talking about unconventional.
Yeah,
childhood.
so I think that was the main. That would be my main point of that, of being like not a standard national curriculum upbringing. And I wouldn't say that I think my mum was really good at teaching, but I was very good at getting out of anything. So
right, yeah, because you wasn't into the academics.
Yeah, so I was I just switched off, and I just wanted to be in the field catching newts or like building grass huts and stuff, and I didn't have any interest in words or reading or anything at that point. So, and I would like to add that I don't think it's a fault of my parents' teaching, because my sister went on to be a lawyer and she's quite bright, so I don't think it was that. But I just never really picked anything up. I ended up going into a school later on, and yeah, I couldn't really read or write.
Was that around what age was that?
I was about 11, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you're homeschooled, you're going to be learning different skills at different
so
times,
I could do a lot of things that were they were not considered. They were considered skills, but not I could sew, for instance. I could make bread and stuff, but it's not really considered to be.
Yeah.
I could paint and draw. I could draw to life. You know, I've got pictures dated from like 4 or 5-year-old, and they just look like A-level art studies. They do, and I'm not being conceited or anything, or like.
Yeah,
But they do.
I can believe it because I've seen your work.
They do, but I think that's just application, and also just having a enthusiasm for it. I loved drawing, loved it, and yeah.
How did you stumble upon that though? Because if you're, you know, at that age doing that level of, yeah, how did you get to that point where it was like, I love doing this. I love drawing.
Well, my parents are both artists, so there was a lot of art materials around.
Right. Okay.
So I just raided them.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't think they weren't particularly encouraging in the sort of. I think they were encouraging, but not in the way of a self-indulgent way or an indulging way. Sorry, I remember drawing stuff and having it explained to me, or that the proportions aren't quite right, and really look at what you're drawing and stuff, and
right,
and you know, look at the spaces in between, and sort of having that sort of explained to me. But I think a lot of parents would reward a child that drew a face, which is like a circle with 2 dots on it and a smile. But I don't think I got any. I think I was ignored if I did that. So it's more sort of
right.
Just.
It's very interesting because. So your family moved out to this rural area, and there was like non-fiction. So
Yeah,
there
we didn't have a TV
there was
or
no
anything,
stimuli, there was no toys or things like that. And do you think that has had a direct effect on you being so imaginative and so creative?
I think so. I sometimes think, what would I have been? A slight resentment or not having certain fairy tales and things that would really like, that, you know, that they seem quite amazing and you could imagine getting lost in and stuff. But then I think, no, that just made me sort of think differently, because I just made up my own, and I can vividly remember sort of traipsing around in wellies and a field and sort of imagining this tree with all these like creatures and storylines going on, and all these characters living inside the tree and the windows and the branches and stuff, and I developed it over time. It was just sort of something that kept me occupied, but it was quite real to me in my little head anyway.
But that's what imagination is, isn't it? I mean, whether it's a book or to me that sounded like it could have been like an amazing book or something like that, or a piece of art or anything. It is real, and obviously as creators, the closest we can get it to reality is to put it in some form of art, unless we actually, I don't know, make it. I don't know, if you're like an architect or something, you imagine a building, you can actually make it.
Yeah.
If it's like you said, like creatures and characters and stuff like that, then, you know, you write it or you draw it, and then the next best thing is making a movie or a TV show out of it, right? So that's really incredible. Do you think it's like a nature versus nurture that kind of created your that huge imagination and being such a creative? Because you said your sister, who was in the same environment.
Yeah, I think it was nature rather than nurture. I think maybe a bit of both. But interestingly, it's strange, because my sister has a very prolific musical ability, and she was sort of at grade 8 by the time she was 8, piano-wise. So she was so talented. She is talented. She teaches piano sometimes. but she has no interest, absolutely no sort of, just not really, no passion, sorry, not interest, that's probably not a very nice way of putting it, but no passion. And passion's the sort of thing where you need to do it. It's not that you want to, or you might do it, or you could do it. It's that you need to, because that's part of who you are, and you need to do it because you can't rest if you don't, and there's no peace if you don't, and it's just this niggling little urge to just complete stuff and do it and finish it. And so that's what I think is I've always had that, and I sort of resent people in a way that don't have that, because they just, maybe they're in bliss, or they're able to consume and just absorb and just be.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely get that, because it is a burning desire that you constantly live with, and that burning desire manifests itself in different ways, because if you can't fulfill that desire with your creativity, let's say, like for example with myself, I might have the burning desire to make some great piece of music, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes it just doesn't work, and that brings up a whole case of insecurities and stuff. So it's like, and it doesn't turn off.
You can't switch it off.
No, you go to sleep and you wake up with that same burning desire.
It's like a physical feeling. It's like a I don't know, it almost has the same sort of trigger sensation as an addiction in a way, but not quite the same. It almost has that, it has that high when you complete something, so you're always striving to get that to that place again of your latest accomplishment or achievement, and that high is not found anywhere else, and it's so hard to explain because it sometimes is so insignificant to someone else, and the personal achievement is just, can just completely tip you over, and make a difference completely into your mood or year or.
Yeah, exactly. It's very delicate.
Yeah.
That feeling and that whole emotion, or that whole part of you as a creator, it's fragile.
Yeah, very. And sometimes I thought, well, maybe that's sort of self-indulgent, or like what's the word? Like, I would think, what makes anything that I would do so any more important than what someone else could make, or why is it so important for me to do it? And the thing is, it's not really important for me to do things for anyone else. Like, it's not important, but it is important because we are all important. Everybody who's got something to say should be saying, like, who's got that burning, like, ember, or that thing that won't go away, should be releasing it, because collectively we're amazing. That's my feeling. Collectively, what we have to share, and because one person's creativity or art is somebody else's inspiration, it can change their life, and so it's all like a great big. It's like sharing.
Completely.
And it lifts each other. So
completely. Things that have changed my life are things that have come from other humans.
Yeah.
Like pieces of art, movies, or music that completely move you. They're so good that it feels like it's something that you could never ever achieve. Do you know what I mean? That level of greatness to inspire somebody else. But if that artist didn't put that out in the world, they couldn't have inspired anybody. Yeah. And art lives on forever. So it's that's like it compounds over time. So, your art could inspire somebody in 200 years, 300 years. Yeah, it's incredible, because we're inspired by the pieces of art from thousands of years ago, And it's those things that live on and that give you an idea of what the human condition was like back then.
Yeah.
You know, so it's important.
That's why I feel it's important. Yeah, I think that we are important in the things we have to say and express and share now for that very reason as well. And it's a sort of legacy amongst us all. And so I feel like it's a sort of responsibility for any artist to document their work and their life's work and stuff. And that's something that, yeah, I feel that, yeah, if I could go back and do some things again over the last 20 years or so, I would try and make records of stuff more, because I often would just paint. I've done it, I still do it, I did it last week. I'll run out of materials and I'll just paint over a canvas. And I'll just start from scratch because I need a canvas, and I'll just paint over something old. And I'll do it because I don't like it at the time, and I was like, it doesn't matter. So it's a sort of destruction thing, and there's no record of that. So there's years of, and things that I didn't, not that I didn't keep records of, but I just gave away or just sold and didn't take photos of or anything. And I would be quite interested to catalogue, so I would say to other people, it's easier to catalogue now though because of social media and stuff. Of course, and it's a lot easier to keep records of stuff, and
it's way easier to document.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
So I think technology is helping us.
Yeah, I mean, I did art GCSE, and I've always loved art. I'm like you talking about life drawing, or I can't remember what the term is, but I could look at something and I can then draw that.
Yeah.
As long as I'm looking at it, I'm not great at drawing things from scratch, from my mind. But if I could look at anything and pretty much do a copy of it. And GCSE, year 7 I got A in my end of year exam. Year 8 I got a double A, and then in year 9 I got a double A star. And gone into year 10, and in year 10 you choose your options, and we were only allowed to pick 3 of the arts. Obviously I wanted to pick all of them, music, drama and art, but I picked music and drama, so couldn't do art in year 10. After the 6 weeks holiday, gone back to get my end of year exam, my artwork, because I wanted to frame them. And they said no, all of that stuff's been destroyed. I was proper heartbroken, because they were again, like you were saying, you would like to go back and look at those pieces of art, and to see what it's art.
It's important. Yeah, it is, and it's it's part of you, and it's part of. It's something. It's really personal, and I would like to have things for generations to come. If I had kids, then you'd hope that they would find something in years to come, or their children, and be like, oh yeah, my grandma made this.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's something lovely, because I've got books that my grandma made, and she's not around anymore, but the books are, and
there you go. So it's a piece of her, right?
Yeah.
So it's legacy.
Yeah, legacy. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So was your grandmother quite creative as well?
She was creative. I think I met her once when I was about 2. But although I was 2, I can remember it because she was quite spontaneous, and I think she had the mads, I've got the mads. But
I like that, the mads.
I've definitely got the mads. But she, I can remember the encounter, because I think it might have been maybe nearly 3 or something, but she had this coat on, I was sitting on her lap, and she had this coat, and it had these buttons, and they were little leather footballs all the way down her coat, and I loved them, and I just wanted to crush them in my hands. So the texture of them was just so great. And I can still feel them now. And anyway, she saw that I liked them. She just pulled off the whole lot. She cut them all off and gave them to me in a bowl.
Ah,
I thought it's just amazing. Like, she just gave
that's
me...
such a grandmother thing to do, isn't it?
Just have them. Like, exactly. But that's how unimportant some things are, but how important they are to others. And that's my... Yeah, I want to be like that. Just have it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, take them.
What an incredible coat.
I know.
I'm
Must have been
imagining
an
it.
amazing coat.
Yeah.
But yeah, she used to do amazing things. She sort of, I don't know much about her, but it's my dad's mum, and she used to send things like parcels and stuff to our house, and things like vases and things wrapped up in brown paper and string, and of course glass vase, like things that would, and sometimes a whole dinner made like I don't think she didn't understand post, but a dinner made like a roast and plated and wrapped in brown paper with string addressed, and it would arrive just like bits of just whatever made it.
Of course, yeah. No cling film, nothing.
It's just, but those are the things that just, yeah, I've got.
Wow.
I've definitely got a bit of that going on, because I don't know. Yeah. But that is definitely a whole nother episode.
That's definitely unconventional. That's incredible.
She's amazing.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. So you're, I find it really interesting that your parents were artists, and then, and I understand it as well. So your parents are artists and they're kind of like free spirited, but then in the same token, in the house, it's like very not like militant or anything like that, but it was quite...
Yeah, it was sort of like a contradiction in tone, really.
But then that in turn kind of made you like super creative.
I don't know, maybe you're right. I have never really thought about it, but like to that level. But sort of thinking about my childhood at home where I grew up, it was always like, it was basically a little house that I think in a field that in the middle of nowhere, all on its own, in a thing called a hamlet, which means it's not quite a village because there's not enough houses.
Oh, okay.
But it was like, I think my dad had planned to build it into a like knock it down and build a new house, but that sort of, never quite happened, because it was always like I just remember, if I could describe like the rooms at home, they were like, there was crayons, there was art stuff everywhere. It was like pretty much I just like had an epiphany. It's a bit like in here, but
oh yeah,
just like, but also living amongst it, and like bread half made on the side, and crayons getting into the chickpeas, and mum making soy milk because we were all vegan. So
you grew up vegan?
Yeah, I grew up vegan, and
before it was cool.
Yeah, before it was cool. Yeah, before it was like... Yeah, I'm a pioneer of that. Right? My mum was, and we grew most of our own vegetables and stuff, and mum used to make soy milk out of soya beans, and we used to crush it down and boil it and strain it through big bits of muslin, I think was the material. And... so that would all be going on. Always like things going on. Yeah, it was constantly like a big factory of everything washing, hanging up over the like fire and stuff. And then this very orderly set of books, which was prayer time and stuff, would happen. And just it was like they were hippies who had sort of got involved in a church and then become very serious hippie. I don't know how to explain
they channeled their hippiness.
Yeah, they didn't mean it contradicted everything that they were from being. So I think my parents' wedding photos were under a bus shelter in East Ham or something, and they were like definitely. I think they smoked weed and everything. Like they were not.
Oh, do you know? just to bring it to 2018, how many likes would that get on Instagram?
The thing is, but but they were just not traditional. No, I don't know. But then everything that they did, that was to do with the church, it was called the Message. Everything that the Message had sort of ordered was very orderly, but never quite that orderly in our house. Yeah, but we had sort of routines and stuff like prayer times quite a few times. I think it was 5 times in a day.
Wow.
We used to sit down and pray in a circle and stuff and sing hymns and stuff. And also the prayer time wasn't limited to just at home either. So if we did a trip into town, local town, which was like miles away, so we used to go once a week sometimes. And that used to happen there. And I remember once in a bookshop called Parker's, and it was this bookshop, and sitting in a circle, and we were having prayer time, and I think it was the first time I just felt like maybe I felt self-conscious. I think for the first time, I think I was about 10 or something, but I felt self-conscious, and people were stepping over us to get to like the counter to, oh, sorry, and like we were just like, oh, it's just now I think like that's just like, yeah, we all, like I'm actually like, I feel so hot with like the shame of it. It's not exactly the shame, but I just feel so, I'm there now in my head, and yeah, that was so.
And that was the first moment you felt like that.
Yeah, suddenly, because it's if you're relative to like shame and being self-conscious is all relative to other people, isn't it? So if there was no one else around and the only other people we saw were from the Message or from the same church, it was never, we were just like them. So, but having no reference point, and then suddenly when it was other people's reactions towards you, that's what made you suddenly, like, that's what made me sort of flinch a bit or cringe a bit. And
did that then change your trajectory? I think that's the word. In your faith.
I don't think I ever questioned the faith. I think it was always a fact up until quite late. It was just fact. I didn't question. I found it immensely boring. I have to say, like, I don't think I ever. We had Bible studies that would last sometimes from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and sometimes 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the camp meetings that we used to go to for the Message.
Wow.
We used to do summer long trips and stuff to Germany where the church was based.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes they'd all ascend on us as well and come to Lincolnshire and set up tents and stuff and field. And we'd have a big marquee and we'd do the Bible studies in there. And I don't remember ever listening to, like, it's terrible. They didn't have a specific children's studies for children. It was the adult, and you had to just sit through it.
Oh, man.
And it was just, that was the first time that I started getting these, like, not hallucinations, but I used to get like my vision would change, like my perspective would change visually in the like meeting halls. I used to, like, the messenger would be talking and then his head would go really huge and in the distance, and he was focusing on one person, and then his head and his body would get really small, and then it's just like if he had glasses on they'd just start to distort, and sometimes the walls would move a bit, and that used to happen. It's just like a concentration thing in my eyes, and it wouldn't go away unless, in fact, it wouldn't go away. You couldn't just shut your eyes and make it go away. It would have to, you'd have to sort of just wait. Sometimes it'd be like 20 minutes or something, and it would lift. But
that level of concentration, because I've had something similar. It's kind of like, it's so weird because it's like you've almost zoomed out. Yes, yeah. It's so hard to explain, and I don't think I've experienced it since in a lecture, in things like in the similar sort of situation, or concentrating very hard, but not concentrating on anything. It's when
it's when your brain just sort of compensates for things and starts to
Distort.
create its own. It just
Yeah,
looks
yeah, it
for
must do.
a way out, because I didn't understand anything of the Bible studies at the time. I think I probably understood a lot more that was taught at home, you know, and the simplified stories and stuff. But yeah, it didn't sink in really. So it was just like learning to be very patient, and I think self-control in that way. I think I've honed self-control like later down the line as well, and yeah, it's a sort of knowing that it will end. it comes to an end. It does end, and just
That's
time
a good life
is
lesson.
yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, very
8 a.m.
intense.
till 8 p.m.
Yeah, yeah. We used to get a break. I think it was like half an hour, and sometimes a bit
For the
longer.
whole day.
I think it was a little bit, maybe an hour and a half for lunch or something. But
and then breaks in between.
But not, no. The breaks in between were 5 minutes. Like strict.
Wow.
So yeah, it was. They're very punctual. It was. I think German culture is quite punctual, quite definite, a lot more definite than.
Yeah. That's why they produce some of the world's best engineers.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because it's very, like you said,
precise.
definite. Very
Yeah,
precise,
so we'll be back at 11:02, and yeah, that's what I was saying. And
wow.
But yeah, and then so I never questioned the actual when other people reacted to me, and I didn't question the faith so much as I felt like later on as well, when I started like mixing with the world, so the world.
Yeah.
It was because in our church we were apparently we were the only saved people, so anyone else was lost if they weren't in our church, and that was hard for me to sort of come to terms with as a child, because you're being told that this girl that you met at the other end of the village and you waved to in the garden is lost eternally, and that was really hard to, and I used to say, but why? But she's really nice. And no, but it was a thing that I didn't really understand, and I couldn't. Yeah, I think that was why I sort of. Well, not the only reason, but I have my own. Interpretation now of faith and God, and it's a very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like even I grew up in church as well, not as like strict as that at all, but again, like, I think you do come to your own conclusion.
Yeah.
After a time.
Yeah.
But it feels like that whole like obviously the faith side and just even like just your environment was quite restrictive in one sense, but also with that restriction kind of forced your creativity and your imagination. Like I can just imagine like being a child. I just remember how bored I used to get just with anything pretty much, you know, and especially in a situation where you're sitting back and you're looking at something and you're listening to something you're not interested in, and then your mind just starts to wander and you're thinking of this and you're thinking of that and you're making up stories, because as a child that's what you do anyway, right? Your imagination runs wild, and I know what my imagination was like, and yours was probably like on 100 times that. Do you know what I mean? So that must have been crazy. When did you come to that conclusion? Not even conclusion, but when did you start to like move away from that and into more what's the word?
Spiritually ambiguous.
Spiritually ambiguous, yes.
When? Well, actually, I think I left home at 17. I think I was about 18. I think I was about 18 or 19, and my dad told me that he's actually an atheist. and he'd gone along with it because he loved my mum.
What?
But actually, he doesn't believe in anything. And he said that we're like something about a field of wheat, and we're like the blades of grass in between times. So once we're cut down, more wheat will come and make the field green again, but it'll never be the same.
But hold on.
Stems.
That was like a bombshell. What?
I know.
How did that feel?
I tried cigarettes. I went and drank bourbon.
I mean, what, after
I got
hearing
really
your
drunk. Yeah.
dad saying that?
Just like, that's it then. no, that's it. And I'm going off the rails. I didn't actually stay off the rails. I didn't manage it. I was like, I'm off the rails.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was obviously too meek to actually leave them for long, or I didn't crash properly. But yeah, I just started to. I sort of had a moment. I think it was difficult for me. I felt like then I had sort of like a meltdown of, but it wasn't a meltdown of. It was like, well, that's it. Then I can do anything. God's not true. Then that was how I felt. I didn't think, oh, my dad thinks that God's not true. I thought, oh, well, God's not true then. And that's the strangest thing. I think because as parents, you look up to them as when you're a child. And I was just going through that age of child to adult, 18, 19, when you're still forming your own opinions. But if you've been told something by your parents, they're God in a way. You think that they are yes and no. Their yes is yes, their no is no. And if they say that's true, then that's true. And that's what I believed. So, but as soon as he'd contradicted that, I was like, well, that's it then. Well, I'm not having that. I'm off. Well, it's not true then. And so then I felt a little bit indignant. I felt like perhaps I resented a little bit then. I thought maybe I could have had a balance as a child. I thought, why didn't I have that option younger? Because then it maybe would have perhaps given me less God guilt and stuff. I don't know, like I suffered from that a lot. I still do, you know, and that.
Yeah, because it would have been such a deep part of your narrative that you're operating from.
Yeah.
Right, and then to then hear that as 18, obviously, you said like, okay, well, that means
All right,
I'm doing whatever I want.
I'm trying this.
Yeah, but did that also like crash your world a bit in terms of like the narrative that you were operating from until that point?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely lost my own faith then. I lost my definite belief. It evaporated overnight, and that was quite profound. And then I don't talk about this. Then I decided, I'm going to try other religions. So I thought I'd really like to try Buddhism because I quite like the little silk purse and the trinkets and the worry beads he got when he signed up, and I wanted one. I wanted the starter kit, so I was like, I just want that. I wanted it, and the little bell and the gong and stuff, and so I tried being Buddhist for about a year, I think. I got the starter kit, and then I realised I could have just gone to Camden and got that.
Yeah.
Could have got my own, saved myself all the trouble.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. Like, I think it was more of a rebound choice. I think that I just recognised similarities in that it felt like a religion, and that's what I was trying to get away from. I think it felt like a structured thing that I didn't want to be part of. So so I parted ways with that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And because you're, to me, like, you're one of the most free people. You're one of the most free. What? I don't even know how to structure this sentence. Yeah, you're one of the most free people that I know in terms of like your aura.
Yeah, that's nice. Thanks.
Very free spirited.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. Like, because obviously on the surface I would have thought, okay, that Angelina's always been like that, you know, which you have, but you obviously didn't have the environment in which you could flourish in that way early on.
Yeah.
You know, so it makes sense. You really cannot judge a book by its cover at all. Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. That's amazing. So just to bring the listeners up to speed, when did you then kind of go into your art more?
Okay, so when I was 17, I moved to London because I wanted to be in a band. I just decided, that's it, I'm going to be in a band. I think like 18.
What kind of band?
And when I was in some very questionable rock bands, punk bands, all sorts of, I would call it blind hope. What I was living off. I was in that sort of thing. But I think it was around the time that I realised that I could sort of do anything I wanted to. I guess if God wasn't true, then no. But it meant that, because I think singing hadn't really been encouraged in my house, and definitely not in the church, because it was self-exaltation. So anything that brought attention to you as an individual was not really perceived as something that was wholesome or good influence to anyone else.
So you always sang hymns?
Yeah, hymns. As a group, yeah. And
chorus.
Yeah, and hymns mostly created by the members of the message, which meant that just, I don't know, maybe that was it. Maybe it was hearing all this dreadful, like, I don't know if it, because they weren't really songwriters or musicians, so it was just
random melodies.
Just, it absolutely just, it was like some sort of, I don't know, like a form of audio torture, if they would invent one, because it was just monotonous and sort of, but no, I shouldn't say that. There's plenty of people that probably would think otherwise, but
subjective,
yeah, it is. So that was the only singing I'd really done. I hadn't done any. I think I tried a harmony once, broke out in harmony once, and in the hymns, and got a clip around the ear, because it was like, no, that's
wow,
like, who do you think you are? That sort of thing. It's quite amazing, because I've since, like, I've sort of checked out other I wouldn't say religions, but other churches over the years, and sort of just curious to see, and found myself visiting a Pentecostal church once, and was like, the contrast between...
yeah, completely different.
it was sort of rendered me, I don't know, I felt very self-conscious in that, because I suddenly felt like I'm so still. And so it's gone very, very different, but
wow. Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Well, I sort of always wanted to just sort of be, I don't know, just go and... I felt like I was moving to London and I was going to be someone. And I was going to do something. And I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be exactly, but I knew I wanted to be in a band. And yeah, I cringe now, because I think, like, I bought a load of... YouTube didn't exist. I bought, like, every single... Because I'd grown up without Top of the Pops or anything like that. I didn't have any reference of pop stars or anything. So
that's incredible.
I went and bought... I just went in HMV and bought loads of videos, different VHS videos, and I watched Prince. I got loads of Prince.
Good choice.
Yeah, Prince DVDs. Not DVDs, so they weren't at that time. VHS videos, and Gwen Stefani, No Doubts. I totally believed I was. Oh, I can't. Makes me want to crawl in a hole now. 'Cause it's just that I totally thought I was Gwen.
Oh yeah.
Love her.
Yeah, me too.
And who else? Yeah, and David Bowie as well. And David Bowie, actually, that's the first song that, first pop music that, and me and my sister and I heard it at the same time. And we were in this supermarket. I think it was called Fine Fair or something. It was in it was some supermarket that doesn't exist now or something. I don't know. But we were just standing in the shop and this music started, and all I remember is just going bright red. I was so embarrassed. It was like I cannot explain the emotion, and my sister was having it at the same time because we were both looking at each other like we shouldn't be hearing this, but we are. And it was like this sort
so
of...
it felt like you was doing something wrong.
Yeah, and it was Ground Control, and that started up, and it was like, and just my heart was racing, and it was amazing because it was like this sort of spaceship story thing happening, and I just felt so embarrassed. That was my first reaction.
Embarrassed because?
I was overwhelmed and embarrassed because of, I don't know, we shouldn't have been listening to it. We shouldn't have been, I don't know, but also pleased because we'd got to, I don't know, it was like we never heard anything like it. It was just
a whole range of
completely
emotions,
like,
everyone.
Yeah, I know that the first thing was that my ears went hot and I went bright red, though. That was, yeah.
And that's the first piece of pop music that you...
Yeah, that was the first pop music.
Wow. So was it just you and your sisters that were there? Or...
Yeah, well, my mum was there, and
How did your mum react?
I don't know. I think she just tried to pretend it wasn't happening, or
because obviously she
get us out of the shop.
What music was being played.
Yeah, but that was
wow.
I don't think.
Do you know what age that was?
I don't know, maybe 7 or something, 6 or 7.
Wow.
I know that the first time that I saw TV, these are like the iconic moments of childhood. My parents had gone to buy a washing machine, and they'd gone to one of those big, I don't know, Currys, or those great, but yeah, there's
what was
sort
it
of
called back in the day? Dixon's.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah.
But those big sort of warehouse places with loads of washing machines, and then they have those stacks of TVs, like, and they were buying washing machine. They were off doing something, and my sister and I wandered off, and we came across this, not just one, imagine like not having seen a TV before, and then this tower of TVs, all with just the same image on them, and it was Freddie Mercury. It was, well, I didn't know that it was Freddie Mercury, but it might have been Live Aid or something, but it was this like, it was just amazing in this white bodysuits. I can't remember exactly, but we were transfixed, and we were just like, and then we got dragged off, because that as well, that of all artists, he was quite controversial, wasn't he? So at the time, so
definitely,
don't look at that. I remember being dragged away, trying to move my mum's hand so I could see. I just wanted to see a bit more of it. Yeah, it was amazing. So that was just, and then I sort of knew. Well, I knew that was there. I didn't, it's hard to explain as a small child. If you see a TV, you don't know whether that's happening in the shop or where's it all coming from, sort of thing.
So got no reference point.
Yeah, but it was amazing all the same.
Wow. I'm probably like, you're telling it so well, like I'm seeing it as a movie, like I can see it.
Like, this was it was just, I remember thinking, I really want to meet him.
Yeah.
It's really sad now to think that I sort of believed I would.
But you had no reference point.
No.
Because that could have been...
Yeah, is that... Yeah.
It could have been whenever. It could have been live. It could have been...
Yeah, I don't even know. It might have been...
Before.
Yeah, it could have been anything. I don't know what that was. But I've since watched quite a few documentaries on Queen and stuff, and... yeah, and... amazing.
Yeah, one of my favourite bands of all time. Wow.
Mm. Yeah, people are incredible. And some people just...
Wow.
Amazingly...
Yeah.
Somewhere that doesn't even have words, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. You really cannot judge a book by its cover. Wow. Mm. We met through my old publisher, I think.
Yeah.
I was writing it. Was you in the...
Golden Square.
Yeah. So you was there, right?
Sony, yeah.
You was in the Sony building, right?
Yeah.
And... yeah, we kind of just hit it off from there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Done a studio session.
Yeah, that was really fun that day.
And I remember the song that we did, and I remember it being quite cinematic.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, considering, like, obviously I had no idea, like, that up till that, well, not even to that point, but a big chunk of your life was not really cinematic in the sense of you know, in the sense of that you didn't like grow up watching movies and those things, which is incredible, because any interview or documentary on an artist or conversation you have, it's usually like, oh, who did you grow up listening to, what movies did you watch, where was your inspiration? And it's more like your inspiration was life in general, like what you saw with your eyes, and also what was going on in your mind, rather than, like, for me it was more Michael Jackson and looking at the music videos, and then, you know, it was a lot of like, there was music in my house before I was even thought of, you know. And yeah, it's just amazing that you've become such a creator.
Maybe it's like an overcompensation.
Maybe, but I mean, it's that's definitely a big part of you. And you know, like, when you're in a session with an artist, it's always 50-50 in the sense that, I mean, I'm talking from a songwriter producer standpoint. Usually the song you make on the day is as good or a reflection of the person you're working with. And the song we made was really quite cinematic, and that was one of the first ones. And I've just remembered you got locked in the booth.
I know. I know. that was a moment in itself. I think that was like where I got my first ever Twitter follower, because Andrew live streamed it on Twitter.
He did, didn't he?
Oh,
of course he did. Yeah, the
several
fireman
fire
came.
engines.
Bloody hell!
That was amazing.
That was it was funny. Sorry.
Yeah, amazing.
from me on the outside.
Terrifying way. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was
embarrassing for us when the firemen came and opened the vocal booth with a credit card. They like kind of. Do you remember?
I was inside. I couldn't see how they were opening it. I was just running out
they
there.
stuck it through the gap in the door, and they kind of jigged it about a bit to get the latch off. What a day, man!
I thought, like, that was funny.
That was mad.
That was. Memories are amazing, though.
Yeah, because I didn't remember that until
I
just put myself back there in that memory.
And suddenly,
he got locked in the fight in the vocal booth.
Yeah.
Man. So I'm gonna move on to some rapid fire questions. They're not rapid fire, and you don't have to answer straight away or anything like that. And these are more kind of dissecting the creative process.
Okay.
And things like that. So the first one is when you're creating, can you describe a moment when you know this feels good, or no, I'm gonna, like you said, like paint over the canvas.
Yeah.
Or no, there's momentum behind this and it feels good. Does your body or your mind give you an indication?
Yeah. It's almost like time doesn't exist anymore. Time's irrelevant. Time just doesn't have any substance. It's not there anymore. And you feel what I have. It's a flow, and it's not. I know it sounds like in the flow, and it sounds sort of like it's a real thing. Like you get into a space where time seems to disappear. It goes really fast. For instance, you just a whole day will evaporate, and then you're looking at something amazing. It's just happened. It's hard to explain. It's almost like, was I there?
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I completely understand that. It's almost like you're just dictating.
Yeah.
Or you're the vehicle for something else. It's just happening through you. Yeah, it's
really peculiar. That's what happens. It sort of just comes about and enters, like. Yeah, because I was talking to someone the other day about whether or not, like, whether just being, if we're creative, whether it's all a bit philosophical and deep, but whether we are part of something, if we're part of something much greater than us, and if we are all one, and from a sort of cellular level, it's all a bit too much for my tiny mind, but if, a bit like, so sometimes I'll have an idea, and I know that I haven't discussed the idea with anyone, or that an idea will come, and I might not act on it or something, I might not do anything with it, but the idea will come, and then maybe 6 months later I'll see something happening. That's what I thought of. But my understanding of this is that it's not that I had the idea exclusively. It's almost like the idea was in the cloud, so to speak. Imagine there's this, like, we're all uploaded to a big cloud.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was downloaded to a few of us at a time.
Right.
So we all received this idea, but I might have been doing something else or wasn't particularly focused at that time, but I was open enough to receive it. Because sometimes I think it's not as straightforward as, because my friend, we were talking about it, and he was like, do you think I've been hacked? Like, I feel like I've been hacked, and someone like just got into my head and took my idea. I said, no, I don't think it's like that. I think we all have ideas. We all have the opportunity to loads of ideas, because we're all sort of evolving at a similar frequency, and those ideas that you get and you act on, it's not that you're particularly amazing. I mean, that's not to discredit.
Of course, I understand.
You know, the Edisons of the world and stuff, and the light makers, but that you've been gifted with this particular thing or opportunity, and then if you're the one who takes that out, then you're the one who gets credit for it. But I don't think that necessarily everyone is exclusive to that idea. So, I don't know where that came from.
No, I get it, because I've had like many instances where I'm almost like given an idea or a vision or something like that, and you're like, that's mine. Like, I'm gonna go and do that, or no one else could have thought of that, you know. But like you said, we've all kind of got the same input. We're all living at the same time. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously everyone has different ways of living and stuff, but generally, everyone has the same kind of stimuli. So therefore,
it's quite
your mind and your brain's gonna kind of funnel its way through to different ideas within yourself. But 2 or 3 people, mathematically, it's probably going to be likely that someone else has thought of the same idea. Yeah. I mean, it happens with businesses all the time, right? And it is just down to the first person actually fulfilling that that idea. So, but yeah, you do get excited with it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and it's
you
mine.
get this sort of like, wow, and it's time disappears. You're just on it. This little mission to bring it to fruition and make that happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love those moments.
Oh man, you just wish it was always like that.
Yeah, you do. But that's why there's balance. Someone also said to me once that music, especially, is 80% waiting. Music industry, music, like music is 80% waiting. But it's not limited to sort of pop industry or anything, but as in, classical concerts and stuff, there's all the preparation and the waiting and the setting up, and then if they have a performance in the evening, and then there's waiting around the day, and it's not waiting, but it's sort of, you're not always going to be doing the creative thing. You're not always going to be doing every moment of the day the tour or the stage show, and there's lots of things that break that up, and that's why to have other things to do, like with anything, I think every art has a waiting of its own, because I don't know, unless there's an artist, it's always these moments where I'm going to forget the name, but it's really annoying that I've forgotten his name. So I want to say it. Anyway, he does a 9 to 5. He's a living artist, and he does his art, painter, and he does his painting very like regimented routine. So,
right. Okay.
It's on the tip of my tongue, so I'm always like... Anyway, yeah, he does, because he said that with painting sometimes it's not about feeling inspired, it's about just doing until there's a repetition. I don't think it has worked for me in the past to do things like that, but I tend to sort of flip from one thing to another, so that's why it's quite nice to have a few different...
Yeah, I relate.
Yeah.
I relate. For me, it's like you said, is every piece of art's got its waiting. Yeah. And for me, I would like to do another piece of art while the other one's in waiting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because then I can constantly be creating, and also because one thing inspires the other.
Yeah.
You know, so your mind's always cross-referencing. However, I do see the logic behind just doing, like, having let's say like 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. every day. This artist is painting.
Yeah.
And then it's
very
eventually like a game of numbers.
Yeah,
it's gonna come out. It might do, but it's, as an artist, what comes up in your mind in those 3 hours every day. You know.
David Hockney, I think his name is.
Yeah.
I think it is. Might not be. Could have made that up.
We'll clarify who it is. But yeah, what goes on in them in that person's mind? Let's say if they've been doing that routine for a month, and then 3 weeks out of that month, nothing's...
Yeah.
Like, they've painted things, but they haven't had that feeling. This has become a bit mechanical. What comes up in their mind? Because I know as an artist, it's either like love or insecurity.
Yeah.
And if you're not producing anything good, that's a lot of kind of self-reflection and doubt to live with. But I guess everyone's built differently, and if he's that's his kind of like the tortured artist.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going for that. Like,
maybe.
And also, like, art's contextual, isn't it? And sometimes having a story like that as a living artist adds to the art.
Yeah.
Because he does look right now he's painting.
Yeah.
If he's on it, do you know what I mean?
Forced. I don't thrive under that. I just feel like I just start to rebel and then don't do anything. Just.
But that makes sense.
Yeah.
Considering your life's journey up until now, that's incredible. And well, no, you kind of answered the question, because I was going to ask, and if something's not bad, but something's not working, how do you know? Like, when do you know to like call it a day?
I feel bored. I feel bored. I feel like I'd rather be.
It's not piquing your interest anymore.
I'd rather have my feet up. Like, yeah. It's just, yeah. The light goes out.
It's a very good explanation. Do you have any fears that come up when you're creating?
I'm not sure. I think I do have fears. I sort of need to open them up. I don't know what they are really.
Like for me as a musician, a lot of it is collaboration. So if I'm creating something with someone, then a lot of fears do come up, just because of constantly cross-referencing and hoping that I've inspired you or the other person I'm working with. But I guess a lot of your stuff's done in solitude. If there's any fears that come up in solitude?
Usually I'm sort of, I would say that I'm either in the moment or not in the moment. So the fear is usually when I'm feeling like uninspired. So the fear is a fear of that block, or just nothing, just devoid of nothing.
Fear of
happening.
nothing.
Yeah, and not having anything at the end of a time frame or something, or just not, feeling underachieving and I think that's mostly where it is. In the actual process of creating something, I think I don't really think at all. That's probably why I like doing it so much.
Of course. Yeah. Wow. So that's kind of like meditative in a sense. You just zone out and it just happens.
Yeah. Just sort of.
There was a TV show called Heroes a few years ago. I don't know if you remember it. And it had a character in there so basically they were all superheroes, so like mutants or something like that. But one of them, he was an artist and he kind of got possessed and his eyes would go like fully white and he would just draw the most like amazing pictures, but they're always like premonitions. And that's how I kind of visualize being in flow, because it's like something takes over you and it's like you blank out, you make this great piece of work and then the flow goes and then you take a step back and then you're looking at what you've created and it's like, did I just do that?
Yeah, that's a fear that comes from the fear that's associated with anything that I do or have done is I don't sometimes recognise stuff I've done. Like, did I do that? I can't do that again. And then when people ask me to do something, I'm like, well, it must have just been one off, because how that happened. It was mildly good, but that can't be. I don't think I could recreate it, could I? And then I start worrying and can I do it? And then and just waiting for that moment of they need to enter. The creativity needs to enter, and but not the doubt.
Doubt, yeah. That's probably a better word actually. Yeah. What doubts come up? Yeah. Cool. Do you have any weird or interesting creative rituals? So before you start any creative endeavour, is there anything that you do? Do you have to make a certain cup of tea or start at a certain time? Or
actually, like, I used to have a lot more ritually things when I was younger, and I think I have sort of worn off. I actually think I had some of them ironed out, because I actually had OCD and had CBT for it, so it's cognitive behavioural therapy
Oh,
for that.
wow.
And I think that somehow I've tipped the other way in some things. But I used to have some routines that I do, but the thing that I do like now is because I sort of used to be quite superstitious and stuff, and I don't think that is something that really holds me now. I used to have. Have you ever heard of biodynamic farming?
Nope.
It's like
Now I have.
yeah, now you have. It's like a where seeds are planted in phases of the moon and stuff, and so it's basically around phases of the moon. I used to have I felt I had an affinity with the moon, so I would like to plan dates and days, sessions and things on certain days, and just things that probably wouldn't make a difference, but I felt that they did. So, and I had I got quite interested in different energies from different plants and crystals and things. I felt like I needed this, and I needed to be around quartz, and I needed tourmaline behind my microphone. I used to do that, but I don't really. I feel like I grew out of it a bit. Now, I find it a more practical way of approaching things. Is to do things first thing in the morning. So if I had a vocal that I needed to do for a session or anything that I needed to write, to just set my alarm for before 5 and start at 5.
Wow.
And just do it, because then, I don't know, there's something about just that time in the morning.
How did you...
completing the stuff then.
Yeah. How did you pick that time?
Just because it's like the crack of... the crack of fuck! No, it's... no. It's just, I don't know, 5, I don't know. Because if I sometimes wouldn't go to sleep till about 2, or 3, so... I don't know, 5 just seemed like early morning. That's the time that if you were going to get the first tube, you'd get up at, so you could have a shower. But like that sort of thing, just like up early. That, I don't know, it wasn't a particular reason.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've created at those times as well. And it's weird. It's like the still of the night, because most people aren't up. Yeah. And it's kind of like you can think clearly.
Yeah, you can.
It's weird.
I feel like it's that there aren't as many rival brainwaves going off at the same time, and people haven't woken up yet, so you've got a bit of a frequency space, so you've got a little bit of, especially in the city when we've got people above, below and beside us.
Exactly, and that's got to have an effect.
Yeah, I think so.
And also, like, when you're creating that time, there's less noise as well, just like cars. Yeah. Helicopters, earlier.
Sirens.
And then, like, I don't know, you might hear the news or something like that. There's just so much input later on in the day that can throw you off. That's a golden time. Yeah, really. It
seems to be, yeah.
And also because you've just woken up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should just flow at that time.
Yeah. And also, when you've slept, especially recording vocals, I feel like the voice is most rested. I don't know if it's probably goes against everything that vocal coaches would teach, but who knows? I don't know. Yeah. But I feel like it makes sense. It feels rested and just like ready to go.
I find that like early in the morning, I like my range. My voice will be a lot lower. Yeah. And I can also sing a lot higher. There's not a lot of mid-range there. Yeah. So I'll get a better recording early in the morning or super late at night. Yeah. When that, like my speaking voice, like that tone isn't really there.
Yeah. It's quite amazing, isn't it? We're onto something.
5 a.m. gang. Yeah. If you could go back in time to your last year in school, this might be a difficult one, because did you go to a secondary school?
Yeah, I did go into a secondary school. I went to one that didn't sort of work out, I think, because of the shock of being in school. Yeah, and then another one, I did GCSEs, basically. I went and did exams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did it. I seemed to not particularly thrive in school. I didn't particularly like it, but I came away with some grades, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
If you could go back to your last day of secondary school and speak to yourself, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Live the in-betweens. So, I think that I became quite consumed with just following following a path where I felt like I needed to leave a trail of something or do something creative. And almost forgot the trivial things, forgot to live, forgot to sort of, not that I think I don't live now, but I definitely was very restrained as a teenager. I was very restrained in my 20s. I think that I would go back and say, just let your hair down a bit and, don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
And you're not going to lose your voice if you have a night out or something.
Yeah.
Get a boyfriend, do stuff, go on holiday. Those things I would say to do, because, I didn't do those things.
Yeah. I think that will help a lot of people listening, because especially around that age, and you're picking what direction you want to go, and anybody that's a creator that's taking it seriously will, I'm assuming, but I certainly did, I took it seriously, and I was like, I'm not doing anything else, because anything else is going to detract from me getting to...
You might compromise that, yeah.
Exactly. But then you forget that art is life, and life is art, so you have to live life in order to create.
Yeah.
And it's about having fun. When you're creating, it's fun. And like you said, live the in-betweens.
Yeah.
That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Live the in-betweens. Yeah. Living
all
the
of those,
in-betweens is fun.
Yeah, all of those things.
Wow.
Just enjoy stuff. Enjoy people. Enjoy the journey, because it is a journey. I'm still on the journey. There is no there's no end.
Yeah.
There's no we all think we're building up to some big event that's going to happen. And
yeah, that's a lie.
It's a big fat lie.
Yeah. For real, the event is now.
This
is the event.
Yeah. So love yourself and love what is you, and because I think I also spent so many years trying to be sort of almost like an altered version of myself, wearing loads of makeup, trying to dye my hair a couple of shades darker because I wanted to feel more exotic, or just something that just always trying to change what I was, and just forgetting that I totally missed the point. It's only on reflection. I think every person that's over 30 will say this, but yeah, that this is a whole cliche of youth is wasted on the young, but I just wish that I'd have known that I was beautiful when I was young, because I really didn't believe it. So I was always trying to tuck my ears in with a headband and stop my ears sticking out, hide my ears, never show my forehead, because I thought it was gonna double back on itself. Yeah. But now, I embrace all the things that make me just me, and that's just the way I'm made. So it's my face, and deal with it. That's how I feel now. But I didn't. I was so sort of. I used to wear hats and headbands, and you know, things like I've got a really big forehead. But then now what I'd say to anyone who's like got a head like mine, I'd be like, you'd be really fashionable in Elizabethan times. All right, get myself a ruff.
Seriously, yeah, we make those decisions at those kind of ages where you're not accepting who you are.
Mm-mm.
And it's not everybody, like some people
No,
do.
yeah.
But yeah, over time you learn to accept yourself. It's not even acceptance, because acceptance is like, oh, you have to deal with it. It's more of just realising who you are and
we're all
your beauty, and it's not like in a
individual
aesthetic way. It's more of a
not
wholesome
in
way.
Exactly, in your own way, like, and that in a sort of be yourself, because everyone else is taken. That I don't know who said that, but that is something so just. Yeah, I wish I heard that a lot younger. Like, I don't know why. I was always sort of just feeling like I needed to be better or something, or be like, you know, no, just appreciate.
I think that's gonna help a lot of people hearing that. Yeah.
Hope so. No, can't even help myself.
No, definitely. You definitely are. What books or videos or resources, could be a podcast, could be a documentary, a book, or whatever. What have you resonated with the most, that you've like gifted or shared to people the most?
I know it sounds it is a bit of a cliche, but I have given a few people Celestine Prophecy. Quite like that. Totally thought it was completely factual. So, I thought it was a factual book. I think it might be fiction, but it's fact. If you're reading it, it's fact. Yeah, it's all fact.
Faction.
Yeah, faction. Yes. Hashtag
Faction.
Yeah, I like that.
I think I have that book. The thing is, I have a lot of books that I haven't read.
Yeah. A stack of books.
Yeah.
I skim read. I look at the pictures. I like audiobooks now because I can concentrate. But I seem to like read, but I don't know, I get stuck on one page. And you have to force yourself. I force myself to get past page 50. That's the rule with books. Reading, if you can't concentrate on books, but you know that, I mean, we can all force ourselves in a way. But if you find it hard to concentrate or get into a book, I think it's like the 50-page rule. If you're not hooked by page 50, you probably won't be able to read the whole thing. But if you can at least force yourself to get to page 50, then it's likely that you'll just be going on. Yeah,
that's a good trick. I'm going to try that out.
Yeah, past page 50.
Yeah.
Depending how big the book is.
Of course, yeah. Did you have any mentors as you went into art a bit more seriously?
I got funding from Prince's Trust. So they gave me. I had a mentor through the Prince's Trust. Actually, they were quite helpful. They were really quite helpful. Actually, I did a few courses, and I would recommend anyone who is thinking of setting up a business or something, and to just approach them, to talk to them, because they really helped me, and they sort of guided me to not just funding that they could give me, but funding that was available through other things. Like there was a few things in the borough at the time that I think I just got some backing to get a few. I think I got PA and speakers so I could go and do like little live performances and stuff. But it was just, I wouldn't have known that resource was available if it hadn't have been for them, the people there saying, well, have you checked this, and have you exhausted all those possibilities in your area before doing this and stuff. So yeah, I think that they were really helpful.
That's really good.
I don't know. Yeah, a few other mentors, but just sort of like, people that became good friends over the years.
That's good. When you're creating and when you're on a journey, everyone gives advice, right? And sometimes it's well intended and sometimes it's ill intended. What's the worst piece of advice that you've been given that you've ignored that then turned out to be the right decision to ignore it?
Oh, okay. So, I have a few bits of questionable advice, actually. I remember the first job that I had, one of the first jobs, there was a lady in accounts, and she said to me, I think we were talking about the water machine or something, about like what I was doing and why I was just working in admin and stuff, and I was like, no, but see, I'm a singer and I'm doing this, and actually, this is what I'm really doing, but this is just a day job.
Mm-hmm.
And she, I think it was like she was an older woman, she was probably about 50 or something, and a few weeks later she said to me in the sort of canteen part, she said, you're too meek. I think that was the word, meek. You're too and you're too nice to make it. You do know that you're not going to make it because you just haven't got the grit. There's some people who've got it and you don't. So don't give up your day job because like you don't have that. I don't know, whatever that was. She was like, you just don't have it. Some people do. And then she got a few other people talking about that. Like, yeah, she's right though. She's right. You don't have that. I went straight in the toilets and cried my eyes out. But that was just confirming that I'm not strong enough. And that what she was saying is you're not strong enough for criticism and stuff because you're just always, I don't know, just meek. I know.
How dare they though? I
know that sort of thing. Yeah, I think I did.
But then so she built that up for a few weeks and then said that.
For a few weeks. Yeah, a few weeks she built it up. Anyway, yeah. But
and you ignored that.
I ignored it. She's dead now, but oh god, I'm not laughing. It's really tragic. It's awful, but no, she won't. She never got to see. So, but I wouldn't say that.
Well, you're not doing it for her, though, are you?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't really give it any more thought, but I did when she died. I did think about the conversation because I heard that she'd passed away. And,
yeah.
I think it's just.
It's so funny because you hear about stories like that from different artists and whatever growing up, that they've always had those characters, say those things to them, and it almost becomes a cliche in a story of an artist.
Yeah.
That you've got these like villains.
Yeah.
And then you think in like your life, no, someone's not really going to come up to me and say that.
Yeah.
Like why would they say that? But then they do, and you're like,
they do.
But I would never say that to anybody.
No.
I would never say that to anybody.
It's like it can crush someone. It sort of crushed me for 5 minutes. I must admit, I felt hurt by it, not because, I think mostly because I wasn't aware that I was sort of being too nice. I just that was quite and sort of, and I didn't realise that it's a trait that you had to be like mean-spirited in order to make something of yourself. So that was hard to take, and I didn't.
And you don't.
No, so I never took that on board. But it's a really interesting perspective.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that comes out of their own fear. Maybe she was an artist back in the day, and she gave up on her dreams because she felt she was too, or she got hurt. Hurt people.
Yeah, that's true. So it become to do what they have experienced, and but like tough enough. To be tough, I don't know what that means exactly, but if we're talking about rejection, I would say that like 90% of my whole career and my whole life and journey has been rejection, and the 10% that wasn't is magnificent. So that's what makes it all. That's what validates every moment of it. So rejection is just part and parcel of it. It's 10 a penny of those. It is
definitely part and parcel. because again, it's all subjective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anything like your ideas essentially
Yeah.
are subjective to me, but I might be the person that holds the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
And it's whether your ideas fit in with my vision or my plan or whatever.
Exactly.
And you get rejected all the time.
Yeah. And there's no saying that, like, I wasn't rejected for good reason. Back in the day, I was... I thought I was amazing in the bands I was in. No, I wasn't particularly amazing whatsoever. We weren't amazing, but the self-belief was pretty much that was carrying me along. But yeah, I remember things. I was like furiously sending CDs into to an A&R somewhere. I was like absolutely like hounding these people, sending in demos and stuff. I cringe now, but I confess up to it because I'm completely over the trauma of the rejection. But at the time, and I had a band, and we just got a website together, and websites didn't exist, but websites was this new thing that and I'd built this website with this. Well, I hadn't built it myself, but got it together with a web person. I felt so proud of it. That was with Prince's Trust funding, and got this. And the page for gigs and stuff of the band was this little map, and it was like this tour bus going around, and it used to stop on different places. It was really like the idea was just silly, but anyway, I was really proud of it. And then there was a couple of demos on there, and it was a very slow website, and probably anyone that was looking, it was on dial-up anyway. So it wasn't like it had to be any different, and no one knew what. I don't know. There was probably great ones out there, but I'd sent this demo in, loads of demos, and then I got a call back from Ireland. It was Ireland Records. I think it was definitely Ireland, unless my memory's gone completely wrong. But it was a voicemail. It was on a Friday evening that I got them because I was at work at the same place where this Jill worked, and the one that said I wasn't strong enough to make it.
Okay, Jill.
But this is the irony of it all in the end. Got a call back but couldn't get through. So I told the rest of the band at the weekend, we had so guess what? Like I had a voicemail saying, can I call from Ireland back, and like I'm gonna call him back on Monday. But yeah, so like we've had a call back. This is it basically.
The expectation is high.
Well, and everyone was like, I can't wait to see what they say. And so Monday at lunchtime I got through, I think, or he called back, I think I managed to get through. And anyway, he was like, I got your CD, and I've looked on your website, and really? I mean, firstly, like, they're like 10-second clips I can't even hear properly, and nothing sounds like a hit at all, or a song, there's nothing I can hear in there. Your voice, to start with, like, it was so cutting, it was so bad.
Why would he do that?
Oh, no, it was so bad, honestly, so bad. I was like, and he was like, the website's hideous. And he was really like slating. And I was like, completely, okay. So anyway, got to go and tell the band, how did it go? What did he say? And I was like, I couldn't, because I'd like rallied this band around to be my band around me and just support me for free, doing rehearsals every week, doing gigs for nothing, all because it was my dream. I couldn't then say to them, he said we were shit. Like, how could I break that news to them? So instead of doing that, I was just like, I wasn't exactly lying, but I was a bit economical with any truth, because I just said, he just said, just keep doing what we're doing. He's watching us. I was like trying not to cry, and so that was. But I remembered him, and I was like, I was so. But then about 3 years after that, because I worked in a company that was like vaguely to do with music, but I was just doing admin and stuff, and I found out that he, at the time, he did get promoted. I think he's like running the place now. I don't know what I think he's like some big shot now. He wouldn't remember me probably, but it transpired that he was just, I think, an intern. So he had an email address, and he had the power of being at the other end of a phone, and he'd taken it upon himself to just phone people and crush them. And that was like, I didn't find that out till it was 2 years later. But Now he's top of his game now, so that says it doesn't really matter. People do trample people, but just to know that it wasn't actually an A&R saying no, you're shit. It was just some kid with with a electronic pass to get into the building and an email address, who was doing the post, who got the post, and so that made me. I was like, okay, so it wasn't actually as bad because he didn't really know objectively what he was just.
But still, for someone to.
I still think one day I'm gonna go and find him and just say, yeah, just
By the way, yeah, no.
Yeah, crushed me, but I'm not crushed.
Yeah.
I ain't crushed. See if he remembers that.
Yeah.
Going around crushing people's dreams.
Don't do it. Why would you do that?
I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, they used to do it in the office I worked in anyway. They used to do that sort of thing.
How dare
they used to have like demo of the week, and then they'd have a.
We're just taking the piss out of people.
Yeah, they used to have. Because demos used to arrive, and they used to put one like probably the most cliche-looking band shot of all, and put it on the wall and have like. I don't know, throw darts at it or something. No, it's really bad. So that put me off the music industry completely, I think. It's not even... I'm so far removed from music as an industry now. I wouldn't know what goes on, and I wouldn't even know if I would want to be a part of it anyway. I don't have a clue. I'm so out of touch. I have no concept of anything. I don't know. There's a radio... and stuff gets played on it. That's as far as... And Spotify happens, but... Yeah, I sort of lost touch from that and just went a bit insular. Yeah. But, yeah.
I just don't understand why people would... Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Why would you get off on that?
Maybe he is a musician or something and...
Yeah, but, no, but still.
In fairness, we were pretty shit. We were
Even
bad.
if you were, you wouldn't waste your time.
Yes, that's a dignified thing, isn't it? Just
ignore it.
Just no response.
Just, if you're gonna respond, say sorry, it's not gonna work for us. You don't need to do the whole phone call thing and like really. It's not even destroying someone's dream, but it's like destroying their character and self-esteem and stuff like that. Yeah,
self-esteem. That's why I really don't don't agree with those programs.
No. That's interesting. Yeah, so I don't want to like use too much of your time. So there's only a couple.
No, I'm totally fine. It's your time I'm worried about.
No,
time stopped.
Time stopped. All good.
Yeah.
See, we're in flow.
Yeah. Exactly.
We've only got a couple more questions, but I might want to touch on Snowhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I worked on that with you, and it was amazing. Just for the listeners. Angelina's part of a duo called Snowhill, and the music's very it's eerie and cinematic, and it was synced on a TV show called Stalker. So you may have heard some of the songs, but check it out on Spotify. The duo consists of Angelina and Harry, and Harry is one of the most incredible musicians I've ever had the pleasure of working with, like classically trained and all of that good stuff. And yeah, the music's a good reflection of that. So have a look on that. Ange, how did that come about?
So I met Harry through a mutual friend of ours. It was actually someone that I'd worked for who ran a company. So I'd worked for him and actually gone to him with some songs one day and just said, if you've got 5 minutes, what do you think of this? So I was always just chasing people. Mm-hmm. Listen to my demo. Even after all the closed doors and stuff. But and he said he had a listen to some stuff and he was like, I really think you should meet someone that I know, because I think you might you might just click musically. And I was super nervous. We met in a little tea house in Soho, which was kind of secret tea house because it didn't. I've tried to find it since. It doesn't seem to exist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. there's no door or anything. I don't know how we got in there. But yeah, it was just this room, this tea house in Soho behind a red door. Anyway, then I think a week after that, I went to Oxford. Harry was still at school, uni there, and doing his degree, the last year of his degree, and we went to Oxford. I went over to Oxford for a day on the train, and we sat in the little music rooms there, and we just wrote about 8 songs, I think, in the afternoon. Just sort of, yeah. I didn't. It was just so spontaneous. It was like, our friend Adam had just thought, oh yeah, they'll probably work well together.
Yeah.
Completely. That's the beauty of music, though, is bringing very different people together. Because I would have never really have met Harry in the real world, if that makes sense. Because Harry is just, he's incredible. He's just no one I'd have ever dared approach. A, B, he's 23 or something, so he's like, I'm 10 years older than him. C, we've got to D, E, F. There's so many reasons why I just wouldn't have. Yeah, he's just from a different world, and he's a classical. I'm like folk. He's just a different musical world completely. But we clicked so like instantaneously. So that was amazing, and still is amazing. So we've just been working together ever since, really, and just writing and
good. No,
making
it's
songs.
a match made in heaven. Like those two worlds colliding. Like it really does. With some of the demos that you played me, it's like, wow, it does send you to another place.
Mm.
You know?
Thanks. Yeah, I think.
I was listening to that demo. I think I was lying down or something like that, and I just imagined being in some sort of forest or like next to a big lake or something like that. Do you remember?
Yeah, a big.
I can't remember the name, but
we shouldn't.
I remember what the song looked like in my head, which is weird to say, but
No, but that's how I see them. So
yeah,
shapes.
yeah, amazing. Last couple questions.
Yeah.
So now we've gone through this conversation, and you know the kind of questions that I've asked. Who would you be interested in hearing answer the same questions, or in having a conversation?
Gwen.
Gwen Stefani.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to do that.
Gwen. Yeah.
Put that into the universe.
Yeah.
Gwen, if you hear this, hit me up.
Yes.
And so anyone listening, where can they find you? Where can they check your work?
I think angelinadove.com, and there's more frequently updated Instagram, which is I'm trying to cut down on cats, but mostly cats. Yeah.
What's your Instagram?
Cat hair is body glitter for lonely people. No, it's not. It's
I was thinking, was it?
no, it's Angelina Dove. At Angelina Dove. So,
cool.
Yeah.
And Instagram's pretty much the new website nowadays, isn't it?
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's go-to. Yeah.
Definitely.
Be
And
suspicious of those without it.
Yeah, for real. Can people catch you anywhere? Not like stalk you, but I mean, are you going to be anywhere that they could find?
Forest Gate Market, scuttling along with my treasure from the co-op.
Yeah.
No, I tend to leave the house once a month these days, so get my supplies and go back into hiding.
Catch her while you can.
Yeah.
But I guess keep an eye on Angelina's Instagram. That's at Angelina Dove. And yeah, reach out to me if you've got any follow-up questions or anything like that. Ange, this has been a great conversation.
Thank you.
I had no idea that it would go to where it went.
I had no idea.
You know, but it was incredible. So I really appreciate you being on, and hopefully we can have like a round 2 sometime.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.